Hello. 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 It is I. Candyman. Because I have candy. Should I have candy? This is bad. This is bad. So, I was sent a box of candy from a friend of ours who's actually been on this stream before. That cherished Mona. But now I feel obligated to eat it. Not because I'd like to be polite or anything, but because it's here and it's delicious. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Hello. Hi, everybody. How are we? Are we feeling alright? Soleficist. Adorably Reenie. Stealth Mouse. Hi, everybody. Dylan. Hello. I want candy. Ate all my candy from H Mart. Dude. Hi, Wes. So, we bonded over talking about sour candies, right? And Mona asked me if I've ever had Mike and Ike Mega Mix sours. And I said no. Hi, Fearless. And I said no. So she's like, you must try them. So she sent me 4 boxes. She sent me 4 boxes, and they're delicious. They're extremely sour. They're gluten-free and fat-free. But they've got a bunch of sugar. It's good though. It's just sugar. Hello. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Special appearance by Katie, who will be on this channel tomorrow. So as all of you probably have been listening to Loco stream, which I didn't get a chance to check it out. I'm gonna go watch the VOD. There's a hot topic on right now, which I need to learn a little bit more before I comment on, and I think I'm gonna be on this show tomorrow too. I'm not sure. It's interesting, cause like, I think the internet blew it up. From what I understand is that the internet blew it up, made it seem really, really bad. And it is really, really bad, but not necessarily for the reasons that people are thinking it's really, really bad. I don't know yet. I gotta really look into this. It's like, yeah, it's bad, but not for that reason. So it's like actually sensationalism has been a big pretty big theme these last 24 hours or 48 hours, I guess, because there has been the whole granny scandal on the what's her name that plays Skyrim. And there was articles that came out and saying that oh, she's quitting doing videos because she's tired of backseaters, and then she came out and was like, she's like a 74-year-old lady, and she's like, no. She's like, that's not accurate, and I'm not going anywhere. So she's like, how about you stop? I was like, okay. Is it dropped a cookie in the mud bad or kicked a puppy bad? I'm not sure yet. I can't comment on that yet because I have not read it. Not fully yet. I've watched the main video, the more popular video that's out right now, which is Ubisoft Owns Your Soul, Terms of Service update by, who is this, Upper Echelon Gamers, which, I mean, the guy was well spoken, but that's a name, dude. And I'm not talking about anybody's name, but that's a name. That's a name and a half for sure. As it is, dropped a cookie in the mud as it lays the groundwork and sits on ambiguous document. It's kicked a puppy bad. Yeah, so like, obviously, well, today's topic is not about that, but it's important to. I spend like 5-10 minutes talking about just all kinds of things happening because I only get 1 week with you guys. I only get 1 day a week with you guys. However, this week I get 3. This week I get 3 days with you guys, which is crazy. Are they good? I don't typically like Mike and Ike. So they taste. I think the tartness takes away the fact that it does a Mike and Ike, because yeah, it is still a Mike and Ike, but it doesn't like give off the same flavors like a Mike and Ike, because it truly like it tastes sour rather than like just this fake sweetness. But yeah. Truly, I think there's a lot of room for discussion. Similar to, I mean, we had a show right here on Dan's Stream of Thought about kind of how foundations are laid and what kind of impact that brings into an entire industry, or sometimes an entire world of, say, business or entertainment or whatever it might be. So it's important to have that discussion more than just, is this right, is this wrong? Because whether or not people are accurate with how they portray what is being said inside of a document, you still have to look at what is first actually being said, and then next, what does it mean for the future, you know? Because there's all kinds of things that could be totally harmless now, but can lead into things that are extremely harmful, right? So yeah, we'll obviously look into that some more and kind of figure out where it's going and stuff like that. Personally, I sit on the I'm gonna take a back seat and sit on the streamer chair as just somebody who streams for a living, and take that as I will. Streams video games for a living, more specifically. I'll take that as it will. Obviously, there is not a ton we can do about it as a population other than making a choice in whether or not we are going to purchase said video games. I will say, though, that the timing on all of this makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Because if you'll notice, one game did poorly, right? The latest Ghost Recon game came out and did poorly, and every single game, even before coronavirus, every single game that was coming out from Ubisoft was pushed back. Every single one. All of them said, we're pushing this back, we're not releasing this yet. And I have a feeling that a company probably similar to Tencent came in and said, okay, we're gonna fix this for you, but you have to change some things that your users have to agree to. And they were like, all right, fine. I have a good feeling that's very much what happened. I have no proof to back that up. I have no any type of anything that says that's true, but it's kind of how that goes. Yeah, like I said, whether or not you choose to spend your money or not, because the only way to not agree is by not playing the game, right? Because you can't play the game unless you agree to those things. What? You can just speak.
Oh.
Use of Ubisoft's Uplay? Yeah, you can't not use that. What are you talking about? She's typing. She's not even looking at me. She's just typing. Well, I know. That's what I mean. So you just don't play their games. Like, that's the only thing you can do. I wasn't talking about it. You guys were talking about it. So as soon as you boot up Uplay, you're asked to agree to the terms. Okay. Well, but everything you, no matter where you purchase it, you still boot up Uplay. That's how they work. It is true. Whether you buy it on Steam or Epic or wherever, it still boots up Uplay. Like it just, all it is a shortcut to Uplay. You're just buying it through a different store. Uplay has always been that way. That is what pisses people off. And it's probably there's probably been something like this in here before. People just haven't noticed it yet. That has forced that kind of behavior. Not to mention, Uplay has had background anti-cheats on their systems for a long time now, and it's basically it damages computers essentially because it runs them super hot. It takes up a bunch of memory, and it takes everything that a normal game would take from a lifespan of hardware and makes it even worse. It's always done that. Yeah, for sure. Except for like South Park. South Park's been like the only one that didn't do that. But yeah, that's just Uplay in a nutshell. So there's always been something going on, but this I feel like more has gone on in the last 6 months that has led to this. So there's that. Today specifically, I was gonna get into Twitter and stuff like that, but I don't think we need to do that. I asked a question on Twitter, and I think if you guys want to go answer that, please do. I'll tell you right now that, and this may skew the results, but I'll tell you right now, I already know it depends. I do, I promise. But today's topic, we're going to be talking about basically being the Avengers and talking about the Avengers. No, we're not going to be talking about the Avengers. We're going to talk about assembling your team. So last week, because this is part 2 of jobs and the trade of streaming in general. This is part 2. We're talking about assembling your team. We talked about the jobs that are in a live stream and what goes into a live stream and all the jobs that you have to do as a solo streamer with no team and stuff like that, or comparing it to an industry within, something like this in the entertainment industry in general. There are many jobs that you have to take on, and many jobs that are taken on by individuals in making a movie or whatever it might be, or TV show, that you kind of have to adapt to what it means to be a solo practitioner and what you do. So we're going to be taking that idea and figuring out how to put together a group of people that can make that happen. Now, to preface this, you do not have to be the leader. And I know for a fact that many people shy away from this topic, or not the topic, but shy away from doing these actions because they feel like they're not a good leader. They're just an entertainer, right? First of all, nobody's just one thing. So don't ever think that you're one thing. Build yourself up, you're better than that, right? You're better, you're great, you're fantastic, you're beautiful, you're handsome, you're sexy. You got whatever size butt you want to have. Because everybody wants different sizes of butts. I can't say you got a big butt and everybody loves it. Because some people don't want big butts. But you're more than just that. So the shape, you have the perfect shape bootay. Whatever that means to you, okay? Whatever that means to you. The perfect shape bootay. So my first statement here is and this may be one of your first team members, right? This may be the first team member, right? Because we're gonna actually make this. We're gonna lean into this Avengers metaphor here. We're gonna lean into it hard. You have Nick Fury, who is a leader, yeah, but really all he did was bring everybody together and then do some I have connections. Let me call up my connections and make the things happen. That's all he did, right? He's basically, I don't know, I don't know. He was the guy with the phone. He was the guy with the connections, essentially. So you can be the Nick Fury. You're the one that goes in and talks to all the streamers. You got all the connections with all the streamers and all the companies and whatever it might be. But maybe you're not the one that leads the team into battle, right? That'd be like Captain America. He's the guy that leads everybody into battle. He's the guy that is at the forefront. He's doing all the dirty work and stuff like that. But he may not be making the final decision. He may also not be the one that everybody listens to, because you also have Tony Stark. Tony Stark may be your community manager, right? So back to Captain America. Captain America might be your streaming manager, your business manager, your COO, the one that does pretty much everything while you become the face and you take all the hits and you take all the pressure on these decisions, but you don't have to be the leader necessarily. So you have your Captain America that can lead most of what you're doing and tell, like, hey, this is probably a good thing for you to stream this week. We want to put this together, and hey, let's throw it over to a community manager, which might be somebody like Tony Stark, who is like, hey, you guys listen to me because I'm the smart one. So let me give you all the things that we're going to do, and then blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, here's all your tools and whatnot. And that would be the person that's like going out and talking to the people that are watching your stream and making sure that they're feeling right. They're understanding what's going on. They know that they are about to watch a stream that is this game specifically and whatever it might be. Hey, Frostbites, what's up, dude? The side, team front butt. Oh my god. Let's see. I guess Black Widow kind of is more of the community manager, isn't she? She's the one that makes sure everybody is, like, feeling alright. She's HR? There's no... I guess so. There's not really an HR position in this, but I guess... I guess within the team there's an HR. Yeah, I guess Black Widow would be the person that's kind of... I guess as the streamer, you would kind of play both Nick Fury and Black Widow in this situation, because while you may not be like a leader, and who knows, it could be your Captain America that does this too. You may not be a leader, you may be the people that brought everybody together, so you can at least calm them down if they start to argue about things, right? She has favorites. Who are her favorites? You have the Hulk. You have Bruce Banner, which makes no freaking sense. And then you have... Sorry, I shouldn't put my comic book bias in here. And then, who else does she like? She likes... They're both broken people? I guess so. The real Bruce Banner's not that broken, though. He's just awkward. Huh? Who, Betty? But Betty's only like... Isn't Betty only like... Does Bruce care about Betty, though, or is it just the Hulk? I don't remember. All the
Only cares about they...
She's always got to go there, man. It's a family-friendly stream. Where was I? Oh, the Hulk is the Hulk. I mean, we can talk about the Hulk. The Hulk is your mod that doesn't really... is the one that listens in meetings. And pretty much all that person does is they listen in meetings. They're like, hey, I'm going to moderate. I might make some artwork on the side here. I might create some chaos, but I'm going to make sure that nobody messes with our streamer. You know? Nobody messes with our streamer. All right? There are rules. I have a mod sword, and I will use it. I will use it, and I will slaughter anybody who says anything bad against our streamer. And that may be the person that you have to sit there and go, hey, that person was being okay. They didn't necessarily need to be timed out. Okay? But good job. Way to stay on it. I'm glad you're paying attention to chat, and I'm glad you have that sword ready to swing. It's like your Gimli, right? Your Gimli always wants blood. Your Gimli always wants blood. He's trying to compete with your Legolas, who can also be like your advertising manager and trying to figure out what kind of tweets you need to put out, what sort of how the edits of the YouTube videos should be, what clips should be happening, stuff like that. What are some good clips we can put on the highlight reel later, stuff like that, because you gotta ask, what can you see with your elf eyes? It's much blood has been shed in this night. It's a red moon. Red sun? Red sun. Something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings in a long time. What do you see with your elf eyes? Tell me what you feel with your elf fart. Stop living in the colon? What? What if you mod for a turd? Are you calling Carly cartoons a turd? Wait, who are you talking about? Loco? Who are we talking about here? I can't tell you what I see with my elf eyes because your family friend. I'm wearing clothes. Carly is a turd. I happen to have met Carly in person. I happen to have spoken to her. She's not a turd. Maybe sometimes. It's just because she's awesome. I didn't know who we were talking about. I don't know who mods for who all the time. I see the mod swords in this chat. All I care about are the people who mod for Streamer Square, okay? As far as mods go. See, I can't say anything. Everything I say is offensive. And I'm not even an offensive person. Like, I love that. I love that. Somebody could be the most offensive person on the internet, and they get a bunch of attention and 1,000 new subscribers, and I say something that is not really that offensive, and all of a sudden I'm hated and canceled. What is this? What is this backwards world? What is this backwards world where this happens? I don't understand. Where were we? Where were we? I got maybe a little bit. I leaned into the Avengers metaphor a little bit too hard. So there's so you have a bunch of jobs. Okay, but we're gonna talk about how to get said people on your side, which is probably more what people probably find more important than actually what the jobs are. Because we talked about the jobs last time, and you can fit people into certain roles. I would say that keep them fluid. Before we get into the next part, keep your jobs fluid, right? If somebody has a strength in something, have them try it out. Have them try doing something. But understand that you may not be able to fill every single slot, and if these people are volunteers, they may not be able to show up every single time, right? You can't force them to. You can hardly ask them to because they're volunteers. That's just what they do. America 202. Dan, we should have taken a left instead of a right at Albuquerque. 2020, I see. Yeah. It's all backwards, dude. What's a fire you see? It's all backwards, dude. Jesus. It's all backwards, man. Canceled. Canceled for saying I love mods here. That's like, what is that? What is that? I only care about the mods that are here right now. So I said, you can temporarily change things. Don't cancel me. Imagine being canceled by the one you love. Imagine. Ultimate betrayal. But seriously, imagine being mad about trivial things during a global pandemic. Has anybody ever thought of that? Probably. Sad. It's just sad. So let's talk about. Did I already finish that point? I don't remember. I keep getting tangented. Let's actually talk about how to get these people on board with you. So one thing that most of us are gonna have to realize that you can't really ask too many people to do things for you without sort of providing a sense of what is the word I'm looking for? Like, not necessarily just payment, but return on what their work is being put out, right? There's got to be something there if you're going out and finding people, right? If you're going out and recruiting people, give them some type of compensation for what they do. Most people that join a stream and become part of a stream team are usually volunteers because they've come to you, they've understood that it's like, hey, I like what you do, I want to be part of this team, I want to be able to help you in any way possible. If you're like me, you go through a lot of those people because a lot of them are young, a lot of them you don't quite know yet, or they don't know necessarily how you work in the background yet, and sometimes they either can't keep up, or they have their own lives that they get back to, or they temporarily thought they wanted to do something and then decided, I don't want to do this anymore. So there has to be something there that you either kind of find a way to compensate them, or you're going to work with volunteers. And that's something you have to understand. These people are volunteers, so giving them a direct job and being super strict with them sometimes is not the best course of action. Sometimes people do need strictness, though, you know? Some people like being trained in a certain way and saying, hey, this is going to make me better. I'm going to learn how to do this job. It's not something that I can do full time because it's obviously doing it for free and because I love the person, but it's something that I can learn for a little bit. So yeah, keep me on a schedule. Give me deadlines. Give me tasks and rules and stuff like this, because let's figure out how to do this and make it so that we're all doing it right. And also, I don't want to get yelled at, right? I'm doing this because I like you, and I don't want to not like you anymore because you're mad at me. That people are sensitive, especially, you know, when they're at home, there's nothing else to do, and you're sitting in your room and you're like, I can't go outside, I can't see my friends. It sucks. It's sad. So I'm gonna do my best to make other people happy, and sometimes that is good. So when you bring people in, you know, obviously I would sit back and I would create a set of rules for how you want a moderation team to work, how you want contracts to work, like when you invoice for artwork, or when you invoice for music, or whatever it might be. Get that stuff put together way before you even start doing it, right? It's like, hey man, I've been streaming for 7 months now, I'm gonna need some emotes soon. Let's find a way to put together an agreement or a invoice that says, hey, this is what's going on. Obviously, the price will get negotiated or whatever we're working with, but let's work on that. And here is something I could just give to you as soon as you're ready, and we can sign this and we can go off, right? A lot of what people don't do is they don't ask for the rights of the art that goes into their emotes. Which I haven't seen any bad cases happen yet, but I think it's still something to be safe with. Find a way to get an agreement together. It's like, hey, you're doing this contract work and doing this art for me, but when I purchase it from you, I'm purchasing the rights for it and stuff like that. That's something you may want to consult a lawyer with. But you may want to go through that, because at any point in time, if you're using emotes that have just been given to you, you technically don't own the copyright to it, right? So if you start to put those on shirts, and maybe you blow up one day and you make a bunch of money off of the things that people have drawn for you, you have to protect yourself there. And if you don't protect yourself, well, I mean, somebody may flip on you, and you don't necessarily know who it is. Even if you do know who it is, I mean, honestly, I feel like a lot more people get boned by their close friends than just strangers, you know? And that sucks. That super sucks. I know she's typing something. I was just waiting for it. Give an Excel spreadsheet of everyone you've ever worked with. That's a great idea, actually. Give an Excel spreadsheet that labels the person. Hopefully you get their legal name if they give it to you. Obviously, that's not something that people are always necessarily agreeing to giving up. But I think if you're doing business, it's something that's rather important to give to other people. Or at least a business name, right? If somebody is running a business and it's like, hey, I'm Dano Emotes Incorporated, that should be enough to be listed at what it is, especially if it's registered. Hi, Big Cheese. What's up, buddy? Why you so cute? I just got a shower, so my hair's it's all over. It's bad. It's bad. It's absolutely everywhere. So, I mean, speaking of like Big Cheese, like think of the people that are totally behind him and in his corner all the time, and why like there's so many people that have just been like supporting him and doing what he could because he's been doing good work for such a long time. It's like, yeah, you put a good team together and people are gonna have your back no matter what, which is always good. Oh, what else should go on that list? That Excel spreadsheet. So the date that you agreed to work with them, the date you got your commissions, so like the date you were delivered your emotes, possibly how many emotes, like how many. So if like you did 3 emotes, there's gonna be 9 pictures that you've been given or 9 images you've been given. So list those that I've been given 9 images for 3 emotes. That will be used on our, on the Twitch channel. What else should go on there? How much you paid for them, probably. How much you paid for the contract? Let's say like, $30 an emote, and then total of whatever. What's 30 times 3? $90 altogether. What else? I don't know what else. How you paid for them? No. And where you're keeping receipts, etc. Yeah, so that's something that is interesting for online business, and online transactions. I guess if you're doing stuff like this, and you're most people probably working through PayPal, you probably want to invoice, right? A lot of people like to stay away from invoices because of like fees and stuff like that, but what I think people don't understand is that invoice may save you later, and because PayPal will save those invoices for you, or you can easily download and save those invoices with all the information of who agreed to what and what's on there. You'll be able to say, hey, I have this invoice, this is showed as paid, this is my proof of what just happened. Because yeah, if somebody decides that you were a jerk and they don't like you anymore and says, hey, this person just stole all my art, and you have no proof that you paid for it and agreed to something, then you're SOL, unfortunately. You're SOL. You have to keep those things. And like, it sucks being betrayed by your friends. It sucks knowing that you trusted somebody and they still said, hey, you're garbage and we don't like you anymore. Even if whatever happened. It sucks even thinking about that possibly happening. But it's also why a lot of people don't necessarily work business side with friends. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are mature enough to say that well, I'll work with my friends, and if they betray me, and that they weren't my friends in the first place, But it's kind of just what happens. Proof is extremely, extremely important. There's a reason that a lot of people say they don't want to paper trail, because, well, paper trails are extremely important to track things down, and they don't want to get caught for something they're doing illegally. So keep a paper trail. It's important. What else? Anything else should go on that? I think that's pretty set. Do you have any suggestions to go on your spreadsheet? Well, I can say it too. Keep as much information as you think is needed, honestly. Like, comments regarding what they did, like what the work was. I mean, oh, what we like to work with. I see. Is it too much to keep a transcript of your entire conversation? Well, nobody does this over the phone. They either do it to like Twitter DMs or email. Yeah,
For the
both.
most part.
Yeah. What she's saying is, if you're in a state where you need both parties' consent, you have to ask the person when you on a phone call or a Discord call you have to ask them if you can record said call.
Yes.
And they have to agree to that.
No, that.
Come through text message too. And don't rely on Twitter to keep that for you. Sometimes they will delete it. So if you have any type of any version of the Creative Cloud, I think you get Acrobat with most of it. So you should be able to take anything you have and just put that right into a PDF. It's pretty easy. If not, there's like PDF creators on like add-ons on like Firefox and Google Chrome and stuff like that. But yeah, convert as much as you can when you're doing business to a PDF. That's just protection. Obviously, we're talking about assembling the team, but this should go with a lot of things. Obviously, you don't want to log every little thing that you do. Right. But if you're somebody who has like let's say you bring together your team and you start to have meetings with these people. I mean, if you're like me, I just record everything anyway. So, and obviously I ask, am you guys good if I record this? Because I forget. It's like, hey, what did we talk about in that meeting? Instead of asking people in Discord and pretty much insulting them and saying that I wasn't listening, which I was, I just forgot. I can just go back and listen to the recording. Oh, okay, we talked about this. Okay, let's use that to go to here, which is why I prefer things in text, by the way, because I can always refer back to it easily. I don't hold meetings with my mods for that reason, because I put something in our mod Discord and we chat about it through text. I don't think any of my mods really like being on the phone either. So that's just kind of how we do it. But if you're somebody who likes to sit in a meeting and have a phone call about something, then yeah, I mean, make sure that you are recording it for many different reasons. If you're somebody who is in a meeting about art, which there's a lot of people that are, I've been in several meetings about logos and getting logos done in perfectly. Those have all been recorded, because if somebody comes back and says, no, you were too difficult to work with, everything that we agreed on, I did, and you said that is not what we agreed on, you at least have that there, so that let's say you paid somebody and they're like, no, I'm not giving this to you back. You've wasted my time. You whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we talked about these things and I can prove it. And here it is, because that is important. There's a lot of people who get frustrated and sometimes just blow things off, or there's been times where, in fact, I've had to fight somebody once before on a agreement, and that was an invoice, which thankfully it was an invoice. We had it fully saved, and conversations I had saved and everything, that I paid for an art piece to be done, like a full-on like promotional art piece, that we agreed on a loose but still windowed time frame to have it be done in. It wasn't done at all. I couldn't get in contact with the person, and then finally I just went to PayPal and said, hey, here's all the proof, here's everything, and they were like, okay, it's fine. We'll just revert it. And then I got a message back and say, hey, why did you get that refunded? I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you see all the messages above what you just responded to? So yeah, it's important to keep all those things. Like, hey, I've been trying to contact you. Here's the proof. 2, this is what we agreed on. Here's the proof. 3, so all those things. You all know about those things. So keep those things in mind. It is important to keep, but it's also important, and we'll talk about outside the business realm, or outside just the transactional realm. Let's talk about the human side of things. Be transparent with everything you're doing, because if you're assembling a team, trust is the most important part here. Trust will always be the most important part here. If you lose the trust of your team, not only do you usually end up in a bad mood, but your stream suffers directly, right? Nobody wants to work with you, and nobody wants to protect you, and nobody wants to get moderation done, and nobody wants to get certain things that you need completed and finished in while you're doing your job if they can't trust you, right? Who's to say that they're even going to show up to your stream anymore if they don't trust you? So if they don't show up, they're definitely not doing anything for you. If they don't trust that you're going to pay them after you've had this conversation with them, they're either going to just throw and say, hey, I need full payment now before I do anything. Or, and you know, that's going to be a little bit of a damper into whatever you're doing, because like, what am I paying for? I don't know yet. Or you're not gonna get what you asked for. And that's a problem. So when you're going through and recording these conversations, or when you're going through and you're keeping all these logs, be honest and upfront with what's happening there. Be honest and upfront with what's happening there. I'm keeping these logs for these reasons. I trust you, and you guys are awesome teammates. But you never know what's gonna happen. It doesn't mean anything against you. It's not personal. It's literally, I want to protect my business. Right? Because I wouldn't have you on my team, because I wouldn't. You shouldn't have anybody on your team if you don't have a little bit of trust in them. If you don't have something to where, if you think that they're going to screw you over, they shouldn't be on your team. Period. Right? So when assembling your team, that is one of the most important things to do, whether they are talented or not. Let's say they're the most talented person in the world and you don't trust them. I personally would not have them on my team. Not at all. So that is something that to think about when you're going after these people. So what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't put out to Twitter, hey, I need keyword. Can somebody help me? Keyword being graphic design, an artist, a layout specialist. Like, putting those keywords out there, there are so many gosh darn Twitter bots out there that will DM you saying, hey, pay me $5 and I'll do this. Pay me $20. And you've never even heard of them. They've never followed you. They've never seen your tweets. They've never seen any of that stuff. So it's very difficult to trust people like that. So the best part when going for stuff like this is by referral, in my opinion. Or if you go searching for people and you see like how many people are connected to people you already know. So referral doesn't have to be by word of mouth, or doesn't have to be via like asking somebody. Sometimes it's someone who they interact with. It's like, hey, I noticed you like a lot of these I went to an artist and said they weren't my style, so I didn't ask them, but they liked a lot of other pieces of art from this very particular person. I go, hey, do you know this person? Is this somebody that that they're trustworthy, and whatever it might be? You can ask any question there. And they say yes. You're like, okay, I'm gonna contact them and see if they can do some work for me. And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. They're really good at what they do, and then etc. But that is by referral also. Hey Super Double A. Hey Frostbites. Hey Cherished. How you guys doing today? Hey Mona. I've been eating your sour gummies here. Too much. Your stomach hurt so much this morning? Did it? Did you order yourself some too? Oh, you actually followed through and didn't let me take your money and not produce anything. How dare you? Yep. Made me want some? Oh, sympathy? Sympathy aches? Okay. So, now we finally got into the meat of it. Actually assembling your team. Referral is one of the best ways to do so. Obviously, I think it's obvious when it comes to art that be ready to commission them, meaning you don't have to bring them onto your team necessarily. However, you can. If there's somebody that you really trust, and maybe they really already like your stream. Maybe they've found your stream and they happen to be a good artist. Maybe it's somebody you want to bring in closer to your closer circle. Maybe it's somebody you want to say, hey, welcome to the mod team. I'd like to have you kind of on hand, and since you're somebody who knows the stream, let's come up with a more regular schedule on how to do some art and stuff like that. How to put some stuff together. Now, that's something that'll come up with any negotiation. It's obviously always going to be different. But that is something that I think is obvious. When it comes to other things, they may not be obvious to people, but it all comes down to what you guys can agree on, right? Always to what you guys can agree on. If they're volunteering, like if they're saying, hey, I would love to moderate for you, I would love to be on your team here, you have to understand that. You have to understand that they are a volunteer, and it is something you can't take advantage of, but you can, you know, with whatever they want to give you, accept it with grace, you know? Do what you can with it. For me, I like to, so I get a bunch of video game keys just as a streamer, as somebody who's been on the Twitch platform for over 5 years. They send me all kinds of video game keys and say, hey, play this game. And if it's like a duplicate, if I have a duplicate of something I already have, or I bought it, or whatever it might be, or if there's giveaway keys, they often go to my mods first. That is what I can do for compensation as best as I possibly can. Sometimes we'll raise money to actually pay the mods, but sometimes they don't deserve it because whatever. I'm just kidding. But they very much, and they've said it to me a million times. They're like, we don't need any of this compensation. We have volunteered for a reason because we want to see this stream succeed. And sometimes people do want to see that. But yeah, it's definitely something to think about. Why are you sitting like that, Jet? Why is your face like that? She's like giving me like a weird face. What do you mean, Salty? Why are you looking at me like that? Another thing to think about when assembling your team is more than just your needs for skills, right? I have a need for an artist, and you happen to be the artist that has come up first. You seem to be pretty talented, great, but you're extremely rude to me. I don't like the way you talk to me and stuff like that. If that's something that bothers you, that's something that's going to be important to you. Same with a moderator, right? This moderator follows the rules. They do everything they need to do. They time out and they ban the right people. They know the commands, but they're just a straight up jerk. Like, I can't talk to him in Discord without him snapping back at me, being rude, all these things. That may not be the moderator for your team, right? Your symbiosis with how you and everybody on your team mesh is so much more important than the skills that come with it. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Is there a, what other mankas do I have? I got Lion Manka. He's sweating, technically. Is that the only manka I have? Does Ko have one? Yeah, that's pretty much our manka. Ko have a manka? I wouldn't think so. He usually has unique emotes. I do like this one though. So, symbiosis. I would say that as far as like looking at teams and how they're put together and stuff like that, Ko Carnage, Loco, John Sandman. Obviously, there are a ton of like really good mod teams out there, but those guys pay extra attention to how their mod teams cope with each other, or how they're symbiotic with each other, and I think they do a really good job, and that's what helps them succeed. Not just that they have good mods, but the mods understand and talk to each other. I've roomed with John Sandman's mods before. They're very much a family. They're very much a familia that just hang out with each other and they're friends with each other, and they will often be more excited to hang out with each other than actually John, which I think is hilarious. But my favorite thing that he does is he's like, no, I'm like, you guys are hanging out with me the whole time. You're the reason that I can even do my job at all. So it's like, that's just what we do. Unfortunately, because of the time that I stream, almost none of my mods live near me or live in the close to the United States, so I hardly get to see them at conventions and stuff like that. In fact, speaking of, I think I've met like 2 of my mods, currently active mods, I should say. Like, I've met Frostbites, not you included. What other what are my other mods that I've actually met? I don't think there are many, honestly, because the time I stream, they're all like across the they're across the entire earth. Hey, like everyone, how are you? But yeah, symbiosis is extremely important. Also remember that we're dealing with probably, especially if you're still a newer streamer or somebody who's still working on growing and stuff like that. Remember that while there are so many different jobs that go into streaming and go into the behind the scenes stuff, sometimes you can only get together a couple people, and that's okay. They don't have to do everything, but they may be able to do more than one thing. But getting them together and being able to say, hey, this is our team. We got 3 of us. We're going to do this together. And then rocking that. And then hopefully maybe later people will come along and they can, you know, take off some responsibilities. It's important to put those together. It's very important. But yeah, you know, think about what it is that people are good at and give them those things, because most of the time people are going to come to you and you have no idea what they can do at all. So the best thing is to sit down with them and see what they're good at and see what not only what they're good at, but what they want to do. The biggest challenge I've seen so far is there's a lot of people who want to do things that just have no idea how to do them. And that's going to be up to you on whether or not you want to train them or can train them or have the time to train them, and whether or not that they might be able to do things that you're asking them. Because I've had people who have volunteered to be community managers, but they weren't the best people. You know what I mean? Like, a community manager or a non-people person asking to be a community manager just doesn't work. So you may have to have that conversation with them. But be upfront about it and talk about it. It's like, hey, do you want to learn how to do this? Let's teach you. But if they're gonna not change or not really work on those skills, then it's not gonna work for you. Kara's digging into the package. That was outside, Kara. Could have germs all over it. What else? Assembling your team. So you need a gauntlet, a hammer, a shield, 2 big green fists, 2 electro sticks, a bow and arrow, and an eye patch, and you can assemble your team. And a beard. What are you gonna get? What are you gonna wear? A helmet? Oh yeah, put an arc reactor in your chest. Just stick an arc reactor in your chest, and you can assemble your team. Anybody have questions? By the way, this is definitely the time to open up for questions. I mean, a small but dedicated team is great. Feels so good when things click. Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Obviously, a smaller team is easier to be symbiotic with each other, to actually get it to where everybody can get along. That's obviously way easier, but it, you know, sometimes there's a lot more work to be done that way. So it's you know, there's pluses and minuses to all that. Is being a mod fun? Well, it's up to you. I think being a mod's fun, but I've never been a real mod, so it's been just a let's just go do this thing. Is the beard necessary thing? The beard isn't growing and I'm 25. Is it necessary? I feel like it was necessary in like 2005, 2006. I think the beards are going away. I think there's a lot of clean-shaven folks out there. There's a lot more women actually getting good attention, which is good. Most of them don't have beards. Blinks SOS in Morse code. Yeah, so you can't see Katie, but she has a knife stuck right in my side here. And she will push at any time if I say something wrong. Ow, it hurts. It hurts. It's an opposite. No, it's a literal cry for help. That's just not subtle. What? Does Salty live in Loco's basement? Are you locked in the basement? Do you need more than just an internet connection and a water bowl? She's like, no, you sit down there. Here's a cheap laptop and an internet connection. That's all you need to mod, okay? And provide suggestions. You need anything else? Well, who cares? Lucid, so technically Locos as well. Well, there you go. Yeah. Just throw you a piece of bread and some water every other day. I'm just the quiet mod who will step in when it's needed and will chat too. Yeah, see that's I think that's pretty general for mods. I think that's all that is necessarily asked of when it comes to being a moderator. That's all I ever really ask of moderators. Usually, if there's more than that, it's a different job title. There's been a lot of your there's been a lot of talk about how part of a moderator's job is to, and you can ask the moderators that from the previous show about this, about part of a moderator's job is to keep a conversation going and stuff like that. I personally don't ask my mods to do stuff like that. If they want to, they definitely have the power to, because that sort of demands respect sometimes. Unless you're my mods and I give my entire chat permission to ban them. So it's like I like to turn the mod team against me and the rest of my viewers, but that's just me. Because usually our viewers are pretty cool. They're not jerks. If they were jerks, it would be the mod team being given more power. What's a good internal process for identifying tasks you should offload to other people so that you don't keep everything and overwhelm yourself? That is a question that I think is continuously evolving in the leadership role in general. I personally think anything you don't need to do personally, right? And that can go all the way down and up to even running the stream. So now we have technology that it's not necessarily fully working. We tested it out a couple weeks ago, but all you have to do is run your microphone and your camera to a browser, and somebody can run the entire stream for you if they wanted to. But that obviously that takes a lot of bandwidth from a human being. So that's something you may want to think about, but it's all about what people can and will do on a regular basis. So if you have somebody who can every day post, or every stream I should say, post the going live message of saying, hey, Dan is live, here's the link, everybody go here, tag everyone, put that in the Discord. If that's somebody if you can trust somebody to do that every single time, then maybe that's something you offload, because that may save you a couple seconds when getting your stream started. Maybe that'll save you some memory power and not having to remember that. Maybe your stream title, it's like saying, hey, let's talk about the stream title for a bit. Okay, here's this, this is good, this is funny. Okay, I have to go shower, I have to go get some food. You guys seem to be good. I'm gonna leave it to our head mod. Change the title to whatever you guys agree with, and we'll work on that. Though these are things that I wouldn't offload myself, because those are things that take a couple seconds to do, but those are options. I would say the more viable options, also Morg Smash, hello, welcome back for 3 months. The more viable options I would say would be, and I do have some of my mods do this, is offloading making commands and writing commands to whatever game you're playing, or something that is working properly and saying, or not working properly and needs to be fixed. When it comes to my alerts and layout that needs like micro adjustments, I have one mod that does all of that. Well, 2 mods, because another mod does a lot of the changing of commands. It's like, hey, do you think you can write a command real quick about what this game is, and a general, like something that will probably answer some of the more frequently asked questions. Like, we're playing Minecraft Dungeons right now, and we're gonna probably get a bunch of questions that say, oh, is this actually like Minecraft? So can you write a command and put it in there and like make sure everybody knows what it is, that says, hey, this game looks like Minecraft, it feels like Minecraft, it sounds like Minecraft, but it's really more like Diablo in the sense that it is an action RPG, top down, you go around, you hit things with swords, and you know, make a command like that, and that's something you can offload to somebody. You don't have to spend the time doing it, you don't have to spend the memory trying to remember to do it, something like that. That is incredibly important. Hi Reckonus, what's up, dude? So that is something to think about when it comes to offloading small things. When it comes to actual like team member and stuff like that, you may want to have, maybe you have like a technical person on your team that's like, hey, I'm really good at audio and I'm really good at figuring out video and making sure that works. Maybe you have somebody put together a shopping list for you and saying, hey, I need a new audio setup. How do I fix the audio with what I'm working with? How do I make it work better for me? And that's somebody who's going to do a little bit of the shopping for you. Figure out what it is you need. Say, hey, put this all together. I will just purchase it when it's ready. I trust you. Let's do this. So that's something that you can offload as well. But these are all like one-offs. One of the things are definitely, hey, let's have somebody dedicated to responding to people in Discord, right? I may not be able to respond to everything, but I will jump in every now and then, respond to things in Discord. But it is important that people do not feel abandoned. So you may be able to bring in a community manager and have that person's job be, hey, I need you to engage with the people in Discord. Not because I'm lazy and don't want to engage with the peons, but because I may not see it all the time. I may not be the person that is going to instantly react to it. But if you're good at Discord and this is something you can pay attention to, this is something that would truly, truly help, that if somebody asks a question, you can answer it as quickly as you can. Or if somebody says, hey, you can say, hey, right back, and they don't feel unheard. Because one of the biggest things for a new user is if they join something and they say something and they get 0 response, right? Obviously, if somebody's been there for a while, they may understand what's going on, or they may understand that, oh, he's probably asleep by now, or whatever it might be. But if somebody is there and just gives a simple response and saying, hey, that's great. That is somebody who gets that started. And maybe that kickstarts your other community members into also saying, hey, because sometimes people don't want to be the lone person just saying, hey, just the same reason that people don't want to be the only person that says, hey, and gets no response back. It's the same type of feeling. So maybe you're the community manager and you've offloaded the task of making people feel welcome. And giving that it is instantaneous as possible response. If you're like me, I'm sometimes awake at different times as some of my mods, so I will take over that role as well when I know that they're probably asleep. So between Sagire and Gamertech, they're Australian, so they're up at sometimes different times. They're up earlier than I am. Yeah, they're usually up earlier than I am. and they get to say, somebody will say something in chat and be like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? It's good to see you. Sometimes that's something that you put into chat as well. If somebody says hey in chat, make sure that there's an instant response to it. Well, response? Yeah, that's a word. It sounded weird. It sounded like I was saying with a CE at the end. An instant response to it and saying, hey, welcome to the chat, how are you? Because as a streamer who sometimes gets lost in the sense that I'm having a conversation with somebody, or I'm going through a thought and I'm in the middle of that thought and don't want to just cut it off to say something to somebody, because everybody's listening, right? You may want to be the person that, you may want to have a person that says, hey, you're not being ignored, we all see you, we'll get to you in just a second. They don't need to say those things, but it's that feeling and giving the person the feeling of what's going on. Response, defense, yeah. Okay, so those are some of the things. I'll try to think of more, but those are some of the things. How to talk when you feel that someone is not sharing the same vibes as you and presenting a different kind of energy than you want to have in your chat. So, this is often a situation that comes in with experience in knowing how to handle it. So, with let's see, would this situation be something as maybe a little bit more negative, on the negative side of what you may want to put on your screen, like what you want the people to watch, possibly? Miss the name checker as a mod. Twitch let them use API no more. Wait, what? Name checker. Oh, change checker? Name change checker? Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing. I don't usually get people that just troll and then name change. But they get shadow banned now, so it doesn't really matter, does it? I guess it's more along the lines as if people change their name just because they want to change their name. And they sometimes maybe don't tell you. Hey Squidgeneer, how are you? Am I on the right path like everyone? It's just before I move forward, I just want to make sure. Because they're edgy, but not edgy enough to get banned. That's fair. Yeah. Like maybe they were self-aware and they feel like they may have put off a bad vibe. Like if someone became a mod, he started presenting this kind of boss attitude. I see. So in the middle of a stream, my motto is always to praise in public and to scold or reprimand in private. But if it's in the middle of the stream, if it's being real bad, I will DM them and say, hey, cool it. Just very simply, hey, cool it. So that way you don't spend time like typing and stuff like that. But just, hey, cool it. Cool it down a little bit. But if they're talking to you and you don't like it and you don't want to put it on the stream, this goes with everything in chat. It's often best to just ignore it. If it's not something you want to delete from the channel and you don't want to make any awkwardness or whatever it might be, it doesn't have to be responded to. It really doesn't. If somebody's begging for attention, maybe that's something that you type in chat, because it's okay for the streamer to type in chat. Especially because there's a lot of people who don't give a single care about chat. They're just watching the video, especially if they're watching on like their TV or something like that, or on their Xbox or whatever it might be. You can type in chat, be like, so you're doing whatever, you're playing your game, and you take a couple seconds, say, so, you see that it took It was a little bit of a break, but it may have been important enough for me to actually sit there and type that. But what I typed in chat was, hey, bud, I see your comment. Can you DM me if you really want to chat? I'm not going to really respond to that right now. I didn't say that out loud. I could have if I feel that my community and my viewership might be comfortable with me saying something like that. But if I don't want to put that out there and I don't want to put that on the screen, I don't have to. That quick little pause can be like, hey, I got to respond to something real quick. This is just what we're doing. People may see it in chat. It's obvious it's out there and stuff like that. But you were polite about it and you put that out there. And if they really want to take that to the DMs, they could. If they wanted to understand, but it gives them a little bit of a check of saying, hey, this may not be something that is totally kosher right now. Let's just take it easy for a second. You know what I mean? So take it easy. That's what's going on. That's just cool it. We're gonna take a step back. But if somebody, if your mod is being bossy and stuff like that, just be like, hey, hey, cool it. And then after your stream, or maybe the next day or whatever, it's like, hey, can we talk about what happened in stream? I'm not I see what you're trying to do. You're definitely showing authority with being a mod, which you do have a bit of authority. Like, you are somebody who has some, extra restrictions that people don't have. But I mean, you don't try not to put anybody off, right? Try not to. You're being a little bit forward and a little bit bossy. It's not something that is necessarily what I necessarily want in the stream. Obviously, you're a mod for a reason. That's great. I chose you. I like what you do. But let's just cool it for a little bit. There's a lot of people who won't take that won't take that well. Sometimes they'll take a couple days off of your stream. Sometimes they'll leave and never come back. But honestly, that's the way of the will. That's just the way of people sometimes. People sometimes have tempers. And that's just kind of what you have to deal with. As long as you're as polite as you possibly can about it, there's not much else you can do. Because you have to think about your stream first. Obviously, you don't want to bash somebody down being like, oh, I'm thinking about my stream first. But if you're being polite about it, you need to think about your stream first and think about the fact that you're putting together a show that you feel is professional and you want everybody to be professional. And obviously, if you're keeping a reasonable set of standards, it should be okay. And what I mean by reasonable is saying that I'm a professional, I'm wearing a suit, I'm talking with proper English, speaking with proper English, I am proper, and I have this full steampunk outfit that you should be wearing at all times. And you cannot be a moderator if you're not wearing your steampunk hat and glasses. Obviously the strictness is up to you, but just remember that some people may not take it that way, and they may be in the right to do so. The German accent, I don't know what accent that was. But yeah, that's just something that if you need to have the conversation with them, you need to have the conversation with them. I normally do it in private, because if it's a reprimand, it wants to be in private, because you don't want to take that person, you don't want to embarrass them, and you don't want to take their power away, right? They still obviously have the power of moderation, but they may get some respect lost from the people that are listening in chat. And that tends to happen. I know for a fact that tends to happen. So it definitely should be something to be thought about. But if it's something that's happening in chat, like I said, a quick DM that says cool it, and if they stop or they don't actually happen, like if they're just not stopping after you give them the cool it, you may need to extend that DM and say, hey man, I need you to take a break, and I need you to leave the chat for like, I don't know, an hour or so, and come back later. Obviously you escalate as much as you want to, but that is something that you have to keep in mind. And if it's something that goes real bad, like, obviously it's hard to keep a positive attitude at all times on stream. Like, anybody that says that they do it no matter what, at all times, every time, all the time, they're probably lying. But do your best to take the reprimands into the private sector and not necessarily public. So do your best to keep it that way, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, I mean, this is what it's about, so it's fine, everyone. You can talk about it here, whatever. Or you can DM me, it's fine too. I have worn a suit and tie at my desk when my team got the cup final. Nice. There you go. I always wear my robe and wizard hat when modding. I don't approve. I don't approve, Salty. Take it off. No. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, there's another question. Wasn't there? Yes. If a mod hasn't been helping, let's viewers get away with some bad behavior, but the mod is in question is actually a good friend. How would you handle this? It depends. It depends on whether or not they're doing it on purpose. So if they're taking it to a personal stance and saying, I don't think anything's wrong with that, even if it is against your rules. So like it's maybe an obvious breach of your rules, right? And the mod in question is saying, I don't think the person's wrong. Even if they are breaking your rules, I don't think the person's wrong. I'm not coming to your defense. That may be a conversation you need to have with them. It's like, hey man, like I get it. You may not agree with it, but I mean, we're trying to keep, we're trying to keep, you're a keeper of the rules, and you agree to these rules generally, right? And if you want to have that conversation with them about how maybe they should be differently worded or what have you, maybe that's something you have. That's the conversation you have. But if you're being attacked or disrespected or you're actually like there's some type of abuse happening in chat and they sit there and they just watch it, if they're doing it on purpose, that is something that you have to talk with them about, because that's a problem. So these subjects are so squishy sometimes. But if it's something to where they just didn't see it, or maybe they're sitting back and they're just not, they're just like, if it was like a job that they were being paid to do and they weren't doing it, then obviously you would talk to them about it. But if it's not, because it's a volunteership and they just miss it, I mean, you can't really do much about that, right? That's just kind of something you understand, but that's probably not what we're talking about. But yeah, if it's a good friend, like, yeah, it's always tricky. I personally don't mod my good friends unless I think that they're going to be a really good mod. Sometimes I keep higher standards for my friends, because yeah, I don't want to have to take away their modship because they weren't doing their job properly. But sometimes you have to treat them like everybody else, And the unfortunate part, the only reason I hesitate in saying this, and I would have said this from the beginning if it wasn't for this, is people are sensitive, and sometimes you just can't get around that, right? It's like, hey dude, can we separate our friendship from my stream for a second and say that, hey, I can't have you as a mod anymore because you're just not doing this and this and this, but that doesn't affect how I feel about you as a person and how I want you to, like, I want to hang out with you and do stuff as like being friends. That sometimes is hard for people to separate, It's difficult for people to say, yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult. But yeah, it may just be a conversation. If they are a friend, they would understand when you talk to them and saying, "Hey, this is what I need you to do if you're gonna be a mod here and stuff like this." If you just want to be like, if you want to be my friend, I can make you a VIP. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to have any type of responsibility. You just hang out and have fun, but you still have a cool badge, Compartmentalizing is definitely tough for a lot of people, unfortunately. That's why that specifically is very tricky. But yeah, that's sometimes what you have to deal with. You either have to either ask them to replace what you've given them, what kind of power you've given them, or be able to have that mature conversation and talk about the fact that, yeah, you are my friend and that's why I made you a mod. But you're really making things hard on me right now. So can we like, be friends, and can I just change your role a little bit? So we covered this part one, but how do you go about recruiting a mod? So I've actually never recruited anybody, which is why I had and sometimes do have a very small mod team. But when it comes to recruiting, I usually pay attention to who does what in chat. Applications are fine, but I think it still comes down to this. I think it almost always comes down to this. There's a situation happening, and you see somebody who is competent in speaking with other people, and they seem to enjoy your stream, they seem to know your stream, they seem to be able to, they seem to want to help. I usually have a conversation with them. Hey, do you mind if we just make you a mod? We could do it temporarily or what have you. Do you mind if I just mod you and take care of these weirdos in chat? These people are being losers. Can you just take care of them? And I try to make it as clear as possible. Hey, you 100% could just say no and nothing would change. We would still be awesome in my eyes. I think you're a standout person, and I think you're important. So I'm just asking you if you want to, take the next step. Essentially, it's like asking somebody to be your girlfriend or boyfriend. It is a question that doesn't necessarily have to come up, but it's something that it can, right? It's obviously sometimes awkward. And sometimes it seems like just a formality, but it's not just a formality. It's something that you go and you're like, hey, let's have this conversation. You've been here for a while. You seem to be responsible. You seem to care about the other people in chat. You seem to know when something is not okay to have in chat. Do you want to be a moderator? And then sometimes they break out and do other stuff too. So both Gamertech came to my rescue when I was getting hacked. And he set me up with, he helped me with a bunch of stuff, and I was just like, hey, thanks for all this. I appreciate you. Do you want a mod for the stream? And that's just how that went. So you kind of see things in people. Sagire has became a mod because I think Gamertech wasn't there one day or something like that. He had been around for a little bit now, and he seemed to know the Twitch world and seemed to know what he was doing. He seemed competent, and even though he had a little bit of attitude, I was just like, hey, do you mind if I mod you? There's a bunch of dorks in chat. Can you get rid of them? I think that's what the situation was. We were playing something, and there was just a bunch of buttholes being weird. It's like, I'm currently busy doing the entertaining stuff. Can you just do that? And he's like, sure. And then ever since then, he's taken the over and has, organized the Discord a bit, has been somebody who is said, hey, this is what we're doing on the community servers and stuff like that. So everybody kind of takes their roles, sometimes silently. I have a bit of a problem of giving people physical, like, hey, can we make this more your role? And because I don't want people to feel the same way I do about the stream necessarily. I feel that this is my job. I feel that I do this because it provides a service to people. I do this because it is a piece of entertainment people can watch and feel good about. But I do this in a sense of, I'm going to work. This is the thing that I'm doing. This is the thing that I want to do. And it just happens to be a good job. That's just kind of how that goes. This is what makes me money. This is what gets me food on the table and stuff like that. And I don't want volunteer mods to feel the same exact way. Is this Christmas music? It sounds like it. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Here, let's change that. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know. It just came up. But yeah, that's just kind of how that goes. I think that's the most effective way to have new moderators in your stream. Because like I said, if you put out an application, you're only going to find what people want to tell you, right? You're only going to be told what people want to tell you. And then you got to figure out all the other stuff in the meantime or afterwards or before you mod or whatever. You got to figure out all the other stuff on your own. So when I like to do things, I like to do them as I'm learning. Like, if I see these things done without being prompted. Like, you have no idea that I'm gonna ask you to be a mod for my team, and you're acting this way, and I like it. Okay, now I'm gonna ask you, right? I think that kind of makes more sense to me. Would reaching out to mods you like respect for other streamers be an option? Yeah, I think so. Because I like referrals. If somebody came to me, like if one of my mods came to me and said, "Hey, I got this guy. He came to me. You may know him. He's in your stream all the time. He was curious to see if you needed another moderator on your team." And then what I would do is I would ask the person that came to me what they thought. Because obviously, if you're a moderator on my team, I trust you already. I know that your opinion is going to be pretty much more important than my opinion sometimes. Do you think that you can show them the ropes, and do you think that they would take those ropes and be able to not hang themselves with it? Essentially, they can use those, and they can be an actual good part of and good addition to the team. And if that person says yes, then I have the next conversation, and the conversation is with them. Hey man, I heard you were interested in becoming a moderator for the stream. Is there any reason that you wanted to be a moderator specifically for this stream? And then that's usually all I ask, and I let them kind of just talk. And then whatever they say, we have a conversation. If I like it, then we go forward with it. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly. But it depends on a lot of things, you know? If it's somebody random and that nobody knows, that obviously becomes tricky, because it's like, how do we know anything about whether or not you're going to be good at what you do? So then you might want to slap them with a couple questions, like, hey, why do you want to be a mod? What makes you a good mod? How long have you been watching? What is your experience, stuff like that. Then it kind of goes into like a real world, like a real job application. It's like, I need to know these things because I don't know anything about you, right? Have you ever gotten that conversation and ended with "this isn't gonna work"? Yes. Yes. That happens. And streamers and like lead mods, or people that are veteran, or actually anybody on the team that's already on the team, need to be upfront and need to be not afraid of saying those words. This is not going to work, right? If somebody comes in and says, hey, and I always ask my team before I actually bring them on, hey, so I'm thinking of making this person a moderator. What does everybody think? If people are thinking to themselves, this isn't going to work, and don't say it, there is a problem. That is a problem there, because I would rather be disappointed in not bringing on somebody that I thought was going to be good, than being disappointed in bringing somebody on and then them end up getting in a fight or making somebody else upset when there was something that could have been prevented there. You know, if something could have been easily prevented by somebody just speaking up because they knew there was going to be a problem, and it doesn't happen, that is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. It also makes me look back onto myself and saying, oh, am I not approachable? Like, why doesn't anybody want to talk to me? No, I'm just kidding. Did I miss anything up there? No. This may be something coming for women, I feel. And maybe not the topic of the day. We're past the topic of the day, kind of. We're taking general questions, so that's fine. But can you touch on mods getting close to the streamer to thinking they have a romantic relationship with them? I can. Not too much, but I can. I only say not too much because I'm not somebody who's been in that situation. I have heard this happening. I think only to women. No, I take it back. I've heard of this happening to one man, but I don't know if I can trust this guy, so I don't know necessarily how truthful he was being, but I have heard this happening. Yes. Kind of goes like everything, right? It is important but scary to be upfront with somebody about your own feelings, because there's a couple options, right? Somebody could be mistaken, certain forwardness or certain things in friendships and whatnot. Like somebody's been a mod for several years and they've been getting close with their streamer, and instead of seeing that as a friendship, they saw that as some romantic gestures and stuff like that. And if that conversation comes up and it's saying, hey, can I take you out to dinner one night? I know, like maybe at TwitchCon, just you and I. It's like, well, then you have to ask the question, well, is this what I think it is? Is this romantic? If it is, I have to say that I'm not interested. And you know, that's scary. That is extremely scary, especially for women, because you don't know how men react, right? You really don't know how a man's gonna be at that point. Maybe their whole plan the whole time was to be creepy. Obviously, you don't want to think that. You don't want to sit there and say, well, oh, was this guy just trying to get in my pants the entire time he was moderating for me? It's like, yeah, well, I don't know. So like, it's hard to be honest with that, but I think you have to. And then as soon as you do, tell some people about it. Obviously in private and in confidence, but tell some people about it. And then you want to have the most honest conversation you can with your mod, right? With whoever that might be. Hey, thank you so much for asking me. This is extremely kind, but I've really gotten close to you. You've been a really cool, awesome person. And then this is where the whole friend zone conversation comes in. It's like, but I mean, you're a cool friend, and it's like, oh man, you said friend, I'm in friend zone. It's like, yeah, you've been friend zoned, but that's not like, why is that a dagger straight to your throat? That's what's the other option? The other option is that we never talk to each other again, right? What else do you want? You want romantic relationship, but I don't. So since we don't agree with that, we can't have that. So it's like, you know, don't be afraid of that friend zone, because that is just immature for somebody to be upset by that, essentially. If you're interested in somebody romantically and they're not interested in you that way, unfortunately, that's kind of just how it goes. Like, you can't force somebody to be romantically involved with you. You just can't do that. But if you have that mature conversation and you're like, hey, I appreciate everything you do for me. This is not something that I was thinking about. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm interested in you being my friend and my moderator and my teammate. But that's kind of as far as it goes. And then if they never want to be around anymore, then that's just kind of how that is. But if you make each other as comfortable as possible and saying, hey, I appreciate you coming in. Nothing, seriously, no hard feelings. Like, I don't feel awkward by you asking me this question. That's totally fine. I get it, but it's not something we want to go forward with. And then you deal with it. Like, that's how it goes. Does that make sense? Struggle with it on the reg? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being a woman in a spotlight. I have no idea what it would be like. I really don't. I have more guys hit on me than girls, and most of those guys are straight, so I have like zero threat to me. I have zero threat towards myself. It's the vector for someone with an unhealthy parasocial attachment to manipulate themselves into a position Yeah, that's the question that you have to ask yourself: is were they trying to do this the whole time, or is this something that developed because they became a moderator and we started to talk more and get closer, right? Because I feel like that may happen. That may happen sometimes, and maybe even more often than people might give it credit for. But I mean, think about why my people marry, like my mom married my stepdad because they worked together and they were able to spend a lot of time together and they got to learn about a lot about each other. So thus they found out that they liked each other and then eventually fell in love. That's just kind of how that goes sometimes. And that's the same way here. You being a moderator to a streamer is kind of like having a coworker. You spend more time around them because you spend just generally more time around them. It's just kind of what happens. But yeah, I mean, it depends. You have to sometimes look back and see what happened in the past and see where that led up. You kind of have to be a detective a little bit. Guys will join on my stream and act as if they're entitled romantic involvement. Yeah, guys are gross. Guys are disgusting. Like, telling someone they aren't a good fit is more respectful than throwing them into fear and reward. Yeah, obviously, that is, honesty. Honesty in all situations. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more polite because if they're a jerk, they're a total jerk, but like they're not offending anybody necessarily. Sometimes you gotta tell them, hey, it's just not gonna work. Sorry. No, you're Squidgeneer. I got you, man. You're all good. Excuse me. Not a Twitch specific thing. Yeah, exactly. This happens everywhere. Mod stream relationships should stay professional. You can be friends with people you work with, but there are professional boundaries that should be acknowledged. Yeah, and that tends to be rules that I think a lot of people follow, but sometimes you just can't help your urges, Like, hey man, I fully planned on keeping this professional, but damn, I got the hots for you. But it's all about how you approach it, right? Wish I had that. I joke around too much and guys take it too seriously. See, you're not doing anything wrong. Please don't think you're doing anything wrong. Remember that it's the immaturity of men that may see that differently. Unfortunately, women still have to be more careful than men because people are crazy and they like to create harm, whether digital or physical. But yeah, just remember that you're allowed to do those things, right? You're absolutely allowed to do those things. Right, but yeah, so based on what's being said about Twitch not being a dating site, people don't have to go to dating sites to find dates, right? People don't have to go to dating sites to find a romantic partner. That's not how humans work. Humans work based on interactions with other humans, and that's basically it. A dating site just sets you up with people that they think you're going to like, and that's just, it's a way to do it. It's just one version. But people can fall in love with each other anywhere. I've seen many weddings that were truly born on either World of Warcraft or Halo or Dark Age of Camelot, and it's like they fell in love because they were playing games with each other and they fully enjoyed each other's company and found out that they had liked each other a lot. It's just kind of how it happens. It can happen on Twitch. I mean, two of my good friends got together because they were both streamers. Actually, a lot of my good friends are come together because they're both streamers and they had very similar interests, right? That's just kind of how that goes. Cobalt and Lisa are together because of Twitch. Strippin' and Dodger. More of my friends are together because of Twitch and YouTube. There's lots of couples that are together because of that. simply in goobers. Yeah, there's lots of people. That's just kind of how it goes, because you are like that's my favorite thing about video games is if you two are playing the same video game, or let's say you're doing things on Twitch or YouTube, that is an automatic, you know for a fact you have something in common. That is something you can talk about, right? And then whatever happens after that is just humans being humans. But unfortunately, some people don't take it well, and that is not... That's not your fault. Implied power imbalance. A lot of instances. Yeah, it is. Streamer viewer, streamer mod viewer, stuff like that. Yeah, power dichotomies, or power diodes, they play a lot of roles, especially when it comes to romantic and otherwise. Facebook grew after she randomly commented on a serious workout post with a wow comment. Yeah. Does it make it less exhausting? No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Absolutely does not. Agreed. My friends got married on UO, and then years later got married in real life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I knew two people that had a Halo themed wedding and made it on the cover of, I think, Microsoft magazine or something like that. Actually, it was Bungie at that point, so it must have been like Xbox magazine or something like that. Because they met playing Halo. It's just that's like it's automatically something they have in common with each other. So it's interesting. It's an emotional drain to have on someone else. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why it's a tricky landmine field to navigate through, because you're like, yeah, it is absolutely, you're doing absolutely nothing wrong, but that doesn't, you know, that doesn't mean you're not going to get shot at or get blown up sometimes, you know? You're doing your job. It's like, I mean, I always think, I put it in military terms. This person is doing their job properly. They're watching their vector. They know exactly what their situation is. They're relying on the people around them. And a bomb just gets dropped on them because nobody saw it coming. It was nobody's fault, but those people's lives are gone now. It's just, sometimes it's just a chaotic world of how it goes. The difference is here is that we're talking about gender differences and the fact that it happens to one gender more than another. And yeah, you're not doing, again, anything wrong, but yeah, and I'm not dismissing the fact that that is not exhausting, because it is. It's ridiculous. I not being a woman, I can't talk from personal experience. I can only talk about what I've observed. I've observed a lot, but yeah, I mean, hell, you see how many women I stream with, and I will often have their chats up, and their chats are incredibly different from mine. Incredibly different from mine. And I'm shocked every time. I'm like, people just talk like this? And you see this all the time? They're like, yeah. Just say, you know, somebody compliments me, just say thank you and move on. I'm like, I mean, I guess that's what I would do too, but holy hell, that's ridiculous. And this was, you know, this was years ago when I first saw this, and it's, you know, it sucks. It sucks. Horny people without manners, respect, it sucks for them. Yeah, it's like, you know, we all know what it's like to be horny, right? We all understand that, like, being a human means you have emotions and hormones, and it sometimes gives you weird feelings in your body. But what the crazy part is, like, I think 90% of us understand how to, like, not have it be rude and be in somebody's face, almost sometimes literally, by sending them a dick picture. What is that? Where did that start? What's going through somebody's mind that says this is gonna get me laid, dude? Somebody just sees my wiener, they're gonna love me forever, and they're just gonna want it. Like, what kind of giant ego do you have to think that that's gonna work? What kind of That's a big ego for a tiny wiener. Sorry, I'm getting too far into that. This is family friendly. Sometimes I'm jealous of dudes. Feels like they can have normal combos. Yeah, no, of course. We have it way better. And I will never not admit that. As a man, I will 100% admit that we have it easier. I've been saying this for years. Anybody who tells me that, I just gotta grow boobs and I'll have more viewers, I'm like, oh, it hurts me to listen to that. What did you say to me? Yeah, sometimes I'll ask him, I go, what makes you think that? It's like, oh, well, everybody wants to look at boobs, right? No?
Goodbye.
Especially when that's all they see in the content. I mean, like, boobs are great, right? I think even gay men love boobs. But
Goodbye.
if you're not being entertained by somebody doing good content, then what does it matter anymore? It's like, Jesus. Show them the photo of the guy who got breast implants, but it wasn't a transition thing. Oh, I've never seen that. This facepalm at that? Yeah, it's the most terrible reasoning for it's not even a terrible reasoning. So one, it's illogical, right? But two, it just shows how much you don't know, right? So it tells me two things. One, it tells me you're probably misogynistic, more than likely. But two, it tells me that you do not know this industry at all. Because even if I wasn't misogynistic and I thought that, that would tell me that I knew exactly what brought in an audience to then keep them there and make sure that I got my job done properly. That is not the way to do it. It just isn't. On every single situation, it just isn't. There's no... So, I won't sit here and say that looks mean nothing, but it's... Or, sorry, wait, what? Yeah, looks mean nothing. Like, there is something to do with... If people like what you look like, they're more than likely to stay, or they have a more likelihood of staying in that channel. But there is something to say about the fact that that is absolutely not a significant percentage that keeps somebody in a channel. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Now, I say this as a man who has a mustache where everybody that comes into my channel, it's the first thing they see and the first thing they comment on. But it never, I guarantee it never keeps people there. It has to be me and my skill, or at least whatever skill I have, that keeps them in the channel and watching and hopefully following and coming back and all that stuff. Nobody stays for the mustache. If they do, I'm not doing my job correctly. I have this mustache because I like it. I happen to like what's on my face. Am I afraid that people will get mad if I shave it off? Yes, but I know for a fact that if I shaved it off, they get mad for a second and they'd get over it, right? They would totally get over it. But yeah, it's pure ignorance that speaks to that. Coming in, tell us to wear makeup. Tell us to wear makeup or wears cleavage shirts to get more viewers. My favorite comment is actually, yes, that is fun to watch. My favorite comment is, why do you wear makeup? You don't need makeup, you're beautiful. I wish I can drool right now and make it not seem totally gross, but I would just drool like my brain is dead. I just get over it. Yeah, Gamertech would be mad for like a week. Gamertech would be mad for a week, but he'd get over it. I know he would. I'd hound you about it every day, but I'd be there every time. See, I told you. People would get mad, but people would stick around. Or at least they'd take a week break and then come back, you know? Should I just do naked yoga that stop the demands? I'm actually there's got to be a study out there right now with how many streamers are doing OnlyFans accounts. I'm genuinely curious if that staves off some of the horniness. I don't know. I doubt it does, but I'm genuinely curious if like so with people saying, "Hey, I am literally giving you the option to look at my naked body. Will you stop being horny in my Twitch chat?" I'm genuinely curious to see if that staves off any part of it. I don't think it does. But it'd still be curious. No, because they'd have to pay for it. But I mean, like, some people straight up offer to pay for it anyway. I mean, hell, some of these very low pledges are like $5. Come on, you can cancel your Twitch sub and go pay $5 there. You lose nothing. I've seen a couple, yeah. I don't know if that gets you anything. I just seen it. Gets you a single toe. $5 worth of toe. Just a toenail. The number of thirsty non-payers that would attract, can imagine would help. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, do we have any final questions? This show has gone on long. Do we have any final questions before I get out of here? I will be on later tonight. We'll be playing some Atomic Crops, and then we'll jump into the final bosses for Minecraft Dungeons before we start taking on the harder modes. Does Dano have an upper lip? Yes. Friendium. Thanks for indulging me in that topic. Of course. I'm always happy to talk about it. I think that, like, obviously as a man, I have no place in sharing my opinion and having that mean anything to anybody, but I hope to provide at least a speaking post for saying that I understand. I see you. I may not be able to fully empathize, but I can sympathize, and I see you. Hopefully that helps, you know? Oh yeah. Trolls are never creative. I've seen like 1 or 2 creative trolls and they ended up not being that bad of people. That's how you know. That it takes a maximum intelligence to be a troll. There's a maximum intelligence to being a bad troll on Twitch. Okay, so let's get out of here. I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're following. This show is live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to Dan's Stream of Thought. This Streamer Square, however, is live 3 days a week and is live for 5 shows a week. This week there was no Your Brand Your Business, but we did have the stream scene yesterday, which I was on. We were talking about fitness. Hosted by Loco and Hunter, the 2 people that own this channel. I was on with Tomination Time. We talked about fitness, and we talked about eating healthy, and we talked about how you shouldn't eat a bunch of sugar, and we talked about being healthy. Okay, no, this is a bad idea. So anyway. I had to do it for the lulz. Anything for comedy, chat. Anything for comedy. Okay. So, stream scene. Every Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Immediately after that, you can watch Your Brand, Your Business. And then on Tuesdays, starting at, is it 4:45? 3:45. 4:45. The behind the streams, talking about mods and moderation. And today was an AMA about with moderators, hosted by Wes and Rini. And I mean, honestly, we talked a lot about moderation here because we talked about teams. But truly, if you want to know from a moderator's perspective, ask those questions there. And then I follow up 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Dan's Stream of Thought, where we literally have a thought and we run with it, and we just stream of consciousness, whatever comes out. We answer questions. I take as much of my years of experience in this industry to just blurt stuff out. It's not always great. It's hardly ever great, but sometimes it's good. And then tomorrow is the Hot Fix, hosted by Lucid Fox, which I believe they are talking about the Ubisoft stuff, which you can catch Katie and myself on tomorrow. And then that's your 3 days of programming right there. So there's a show for everybody. There's a show for all kinds of things. If you have suggestions for new shows or new episodes, or just entire shows in general, or anything, I urge you guys to go visit the Discord, discord.gg/streamersquare. Join us there. I have my own channel if you guys want to ask me personal questions about whatever we have going on, about the show, or whatever you think we want to talk about next week. Post in there. Or any questions as far as Streamer Square goes, you can go to streamersquare.com and check out the new blogs. There's often blogs that get posted there about streaming. What is the latest blog? The latest blog is Streaming Studio Basics. So getting started, Lightstream Studio Basics. Also getting started, 4 steps to stream on Twitch. You can go to Amazon.com or click on the link at !book in chat. Can one of the mods put that in there? And you can pick up this bad boy, which I wrote last year, myself and Saber, who is a longtime streamer, former Fragdoll, and amazing video game publisher, or not publisher, producer. And you can pick that up and get yourself a copy. Let me know what you think. There's all kinds of stuff and all kinds of new and exciting stuff that we'll have writing into our next book. Our next book is going to be extremely different. And I'm still working on that inside my brain. So that's coming out. My name is Danotage. I'm live most nights on my own channel, DANOTAGE, twitch.tv. We also upload a bunch of stuff to YouTube, so youtube.com/Danotage. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, both myself and Streamer Square, that is our names, Danotage and Streamer Square. Follow us on Twitter and come up with all kinds of stuff. There's actually a poll going on right now that is extremely questionable as to whether or not it is an understandable question, but it is there. You guys can go interact with that, and I will see you all next time. Okay? That sound good? I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you next week. If you come by tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. See ya. Bye. Bye.